So, good afternoon, champions. Hoping that your week was great. So, I'd like to officially welcome you. So, today I won't be doing our usual analysis. We have just experienced the NFP movement of the markets. So, today I'll basically be talking about the best way to trade the NFP. Or okay, for those who don't know NFP, so this is a non-farm payroll. It is kind of a news that is usually released in USA, and it affects all the either current related pairs and also the index related pairs, the NAS 100 and the US 30. So today I will be explaining to you how you can be able to capture the movement before it happens, and how you will be able to capitalize in future for those who are not able to capitalize on the NFP news today. For those who are not able to make any cash from the NFP, hopefully this video is going to help you to prepare yourself for next time, because in forex, as we always say, that there is always a next time. So I'd like us to dive into our analysis. um so I'll be looking at, so we are going to start from March, I think. Yeah, we are going to start from March. Then we are going to look at what happened in March during the release of the NFP, and what did traders do. So I'll be looking at this from the 45 minutes time frame. Yeah, the 45 minutes time frame. So looking at, so we are just going to start from March. So let us give my machine some minutes, some few seconds to load up. Mhm. Okay, okay, some few minutes, some few minutes. So we discussing a few months ago what happened to the news, the NFP news. So this is the month of, so let me see. This is the month of March. Wow, okay. So this is the month of, I think this is the month of March. I wanted to confirm from my calendar. Okay. Yeah. So month of March the 5th. So the 5th, yeah. So we are looking at the month of March. The NFP took place on the 5th. So the 5th, so you can look at, this is the, yeah, this is the 5th. So looking at the month of March and what happened in that month, you can see that the news were released at it is usually 3:30. Yeah, 3:30, it is when that the news affect the market. But unlike, for you to be able to be profitable when trading the NFP, it is what happens before the news that will tell you what to do, especially when it comes to trading the news, especially. So you can see that it is at 3 p.m., that is Kenyan time, that the news usually, or the New York session usually open. So you can see, okay, the London session opens at 10, and then it goes up to 3. Then at 3 p.m., that is 10 a.m., that is to 3 p.m. Now, when you enter 3 p.m., the New York sessions open. Now, it is how the New York session opens that usually sometime predicts how the NFP is going to behave. Like when you look at this particular month of March on the 5th, so you can see that when New York session opened, you can see that when this candlestick came to this point, the candlestick came and lowered itself to this level here. You can see how it opened, and then when now the NFP news were released, you can see the effect. So at first, the market is going to move towards the, like in this case, though the NFP news were okay. They were kind of negative. That's why you can see that the Euro USD went up. And something that I have to explain also is that when the news is negative, the dollar will always tend to go lower since the news is negative. And when the news is positive, then automatically the dollar is going to rise. So, okay, for this month, the news was negative. So since the news was negative, then since it is this is a the USD index will rise. But I mean, yeah, the no, sorry for that. So the US dollar is going to fall. That is the euro index. It is going to, I mean, the USD index is going to fall. But then since this is a pair, this is euro against the dollar. Since it is the strength of euro against the dollar, then this is going to take the opposite direction. I hope you are able to understand. That's why you can see that the market started moving toward the downside, and then because this month the NFP was negative, the I mean the Euro USD just rose up to the upside. So you can see it rose up to this particular point here. So at first, but what makes you to conclude that it is going to rise to the upside? It is how it has opened this new candlestick. You can see this thin candlestick. So you can see that at this particular area, it started moving toward the downside, and when the news came out, it rose to the upside. So I hope you were able to understand at that particular level. So moving into the other month, which is the month of April. So we are going to see what the month of April had. So looking at the month of April. So okay, now moving into the month of April, this is what has happened. So again, the NFP, it happened. So for the month of April, the news came in. It was which date? Around fifth, yeah. So remember, NFP news usually comes out the first Friday of the month, the first Friday of the month. So not it is always at the first Friday of the month. So this being the I mean the first Friday of the month of April, you can see what happened again. So you have got you can see that the news came out at this New York session. And as I've said earlier, the New York session usually opens at 3 p.m. So you can see this is the London session. So the London session usually open at 10 a.m. and up to this particular 3 p.m. And then at 3:30 the news is released. So you can see that when the candlestick opened, you can see that the candlestick open moved to the downside. Now, if we were in a lower time frame, maybe a 5 minute time frame, you could clearly see the move to the downside. And because the market moved to the downside and it was in a particular point of a consolidation, you can see this is a point of resistance, this is a point of support. So automatically when the news came out, you can see that the market rose to the upside. So you can clearly see here, so the market rose towards the upside. So looking at the next month, I think it was the month of, so you can see this other month, this the month of May. So you can see May. So you can see the it was on the month of May. I think the news were released on the 7th. Yeah, the 7th. That was the first Friday of that month. So looking at the news, so the news were released at this particular area when the New York session opened. So you can see we had a move to the upside. You can I hope you're able to see. So you cannot see it clearly because you're in a 45 minutes time frame, but seeing when the candlestick closed at this particular level and open at this particular level, we had a move to the upside before having a move toward the downside. So a move to the upside, whenever a candlestick opens and moves towards the upside, this was a clear sign that the markets were preparing themselves to move toward the downside. So if whenever it moves toward the upside at the opening of a new candlestick, it was a clear sign that the news were going to affect the market, that the Euro USD was going to move toward the downside. So, what does it necessarily mean? So, it actually means that if you want to be profitable when it comes to trading the NFP, you just need to trade the reversal of what has been given to you. So you just need to trade the reversal of what has happened to the market. So you trade the reversal. Looking at this other month, you can see that when market rose to the upside, when the New York session opened, you can see at this particular level, the candlestick, if you are able to see this tail, so the candlestick after opening it moved toward the downside. And when it moved toward the downside, it was a clear sign. If I was to show this from a lower time frame, that is from the 5 minute time frame, you'll be able to see a clear movement toward the downside before the market rose to the upside, and you can clearly see the effects of the news. So uh, that was it for that month. Looking at other months, let me see. So you can clearly see this other month, you can see that the market were rising toward the upside. And when the news opened at 3, so you can see this is 3 p.m. This, remember, this is the first Friday of the month. So when the market opened, you can see that we had a fast move to the upside. So when the candlestick, we see the candlestick closed at this particular level, then came to this level here. A new candlestick opening rose up to the upside and then moved to the downside. So for you to be profitable when you are trading NFP, so if you're trading NFP, for you to be profitable, you just need to know that you have to trade the reversal, and it goes on and on up to last month. So you can see last month you had this close of this candlestick. So when the candlestick closed, you can see that we had a move to the downside first. So you can see that it opened at this particular level here, and then we had a move to the downside before the market moved to the upside. So you can see that the market moved to the downside, but again it moved to the upside. So in most cases, it might not happen in all cases, but in 90% of what happens to the NFP news, like you can see in this level. So you can see that at this particular area here, when this candlestick, this red candlestick closed, so we had an opening of a new candlestick in this level, and we had a move to the downside, a false confirmation, and then we had a clear move to the upside. So if you want to be profitable, just make sure that when the NFP news are being released, just prepare yourself to trade the reversal. And then looking at today, because today we had the NFP news, so let me cancel out all of this. So today we had the NFP news, and you can see. So let me start from the euro. What happened to the euro? So let's give it some minutes. So I don't know. Okay, we can start from. Again, let us go to the euro because we had discussed different months about the euro. So moving in, let me start from the 45-minute time frame so that you can have a clear view. So looking at the 45-minute time frame, when the market opened, I mean the New York session opened at that is 3 p.m. You can see that when this new candlestick opened, so at 3 p.m. you can see that we had this small hammer candlestick. So it moved toward the downside to this particular point of, I think, a creation of just a regular point of support. And this was uh, maybe a false confirmation, we might say. So this was a clear sign that the news were going to move, were going to affect the market in such a way that the Euro USD was going to move toward the downside. So this was a clear sign that the markets were ready to move toward the downside. That's why you can see that when it came to 330, so at this particular level, so when it came to 330, you can see that we had a clear move toward the downside. So for today, we had a buy in the, that is the Euro USD. So mainly because what happened previously. So you can see that before the New York session opened at this particular level, well, we were still in the London session. So you can see that the markets were moving towards the downside up to this particular level. So when the New York session opened at 3 p.m., you can see that this was a clear sign that the markets were going to move toward the upside. And you can clearly see that for those who are able to capitalize on the move, so you can see we had a gain of around this is 28 pips, so which was also good. So 28 pips gain. So the market rose, and then move to the downside. So for those who have ever traded NFP, you know the feeling. So NFP is not one of those trades that you are going to get in and wait for some few minutes. So for you to trade NFP, this is just a trade that is going to last for only some few seconds. So it is just a matter of increasing your lot size, capitalizing on the few seconds that the markets are going to move, and then getting out of the market. Because if you don't do that, at the end of the day, you're going to end up with a loss. So looking at other, okay, apart from Euro USD, so the markets also affect other pairs that are usually paired with any USD. Looking at the AUD USD, you can see still the same move. So previously, before the New York session opened, you can see that we had a move toward the downside. So you can see here we had a move toward the downside. But when the New York session opened, you can see that we had this clear move toward the upside. So looking at other, okay, let me look at how many pips were gained. So moving from this level here, so so this was a gain of a total of 46 pips. So that is 46 pips. Looking at the NAS 100, so still the same concept. So when the market, you can see that at the exact point, if you look at 3:30, that is half past three, where news usually affect the market at the exact point. I'm in my 15 minutes time frame. So you can see that when the market opened, when the news were affecting the market, you can see that the market started moving toward the downside. So you can see that the market started moving toward the downside to this level. So this was a clear sign that the markets were ready to move toward the upside. So if you were able to capitalize from these levels here, so if you are able to capitalize, maybe you had placed in your maybe a buy stop from this level. So and then you are targeting this level. That was a total gain of maybe 58 pips, but the market rose up to around 97 pips, which I think it was good. So you when you're capitalizing on these small moves, I think my advice on the amount of lot size that you should use, it is maybe around 5.00, or maybe one if you're comfortable. But then at the end of the day, I tend to think that it depends on the size of the account that you are having. And then the other thing that I wanted to explain to you concerning the NFP. So how do you know whether the NFP news is positive or negative? Okay, you can head over to it is called the forex factory. So looking at forex factory, they will always tell you, like today. So this was you can see that you have got the actual, then you have got the forecast, and then you have got the previous. So and then we are only interested in the NFP. So the NFP is usually at this. So you can find this in forex, I mean forexfactory.com. And then you can see that the previous was 235K, and then the forecast, the prediction was 490K. So how do you know that the news are going to be positive or negative? So if the actual, when the news are released, so whenever the news are released, automatically you are going to see a figure in this actual column here. So when the news are released, and the size or the amount in this actual is going to be higher than this prediction, like for this case the prediction was 490, then automatically we can say that the news is positive if the actual is going to be higher than the forecast. And if the news is positive, that actually means that the US dollar is going to rise on the markets. So, but if the actual is going to be lower than the forecast, then we conclude that the news was negative, and that actually means that the US index is going to move toward the downside. So let us give it some few minutes so that it can be able to load. And you can see, like for today, the actual was less than the forecast. So if the actual is going to be less than the forecast, then automatically the US dollar was going to fall. And because the US dollar was going to fall, or the US index is going to fall. And if you are trading the euro USD, so this actually means that the euro is going to gain more strength than the dollar, making the euro USD pair to rise toward the upside. So now from this news, now you are able to you're going to be able to interpret the fundamentals to your technical analysis. So now looking at the news, so this you can see that it is also red, so clear sign that this is a negative figure. So if it's a negative figure, automatically, if you're going to look at so let us look at maybe the US JPY. Fantastic. So if you're going to look at for those pairs in which the US is the main currency, like it is on the left side of the pair, like for the case of USD JPY, so you can see that it rose towards the downside, mainly because the US index or the US dollar rose to, I mean, it fell because the news were negative. So if you're looking at pairs in which it is the USD that is on the left side of the pair, for those pairs they are going to fall. But for the pairs in which the US is on the right side, like for the case of the euro USD, we are actually expecting that the markets were going to rise high towards the upside. So I tend to think that what I was able to explain was profitable for those who were able to make some cash for today, for the news that were released today at exactly 3:30. Big ups, and you can keep up the spirit. But for those who were also able to make some few losses, there is always a next time. And for those who didn't know how to trade NFP, I think this was a profitable video. So do have a great weekend, and also see you on Monday for our next analysis. And it is always my prayer that may the pips always be with you. Thank you.